quote one of my favorites, Jesse the Body Ventura. Ooh, the most beautiful body in YouTube. You check it out. I've got something to talk about. Just me being silly, but UFC 189 might be happening, and I know that there's a lot of controversy and a lot of speculation about what's going to happen. I know that my friend Chris McGregor on Twitter, and a friend of mine outside of here, he has had this belief for a very long time that this fight is not going to happen, that he thinks Aldo is going to pull out. And it seems to be that there's some fuel to the fire there, because in Thursday of this week, rumours came out that apparently Aldo has suffered some kind of rib injury. Some people said a broken rib, some people said a bruised rib. No one was too sure. Lots of conflicting reports. Lots of people saying that Aldo's pulled out already. Then the next day, some people say Aldo's going to take the fight. Then the next thing I hear is that there's a contingency plan and that Aldo's going to take the fight, but if he does withdraw and it gets worse, they're going to put Mendes in. So this affects what I was going to do, because I was going to do a predictions video on this fight, specifically this fight, and I'm going to have to just touch on this situation quite quickly, and it influences my predictions video if the fight takes place. Now, here's my thing. First of all, this is let's not argue, this is the biggest fight in featherweight history. This is the biggest fight for that weight class. This is a fight that has needed to happen to boost the status, the visibility and the credibility of the division. Although the division has always been credible, they've always had highly skilled guys. They had their stars too, going back to the days of Uriah Faber. Then we fast forward to Jose Aldo, and he has been what that division has needed, in the sense that you have needed an elite, highly skilled, elite level fighter for that weight class. A guy that you can compare with the Anderson Silvas and the Fedors and the GSPs and the Shoguns and the John Jones. That kind of fighter, you have needed him. But what the division and Jose Aldo has also needed, and this is a wrestling analogy for you, they have needed its superstar Billy Graham, its Jesse the Body Ventura, its colourful character, its personality that can be, especially to a pay-per-view buying audience, an antagonist to the champion in the face of that division. And Conor McGregor has been that guy. It hasn't been Chad Mendes, it hasn't been Uriah Faber, it hasn't been Cub Swanson, hasn't been any of those guys but Conor McGregor. And with that being said, and the chemistry there and all the ingredients there, the way McGregor has spoken, the way that he's been built up, and yes, I will say this, I don't think he's an elite level fighter just yet, but I think he's a very good fighter, and I think wins over guys like Max Holloway, where he looked very impressive. I think a win over Dustin Poirier, which was very, very good for him. I think the Dennis Siver fight was a good fight for him, although I will argue that Siver was on his way out. Those were very, very good wins, and he's had very impressive displays. Yes, the show in Ireland was a big one, and to be honest with you, it wasn't about who he was fighting, it was the fact that it was Conor McGregor fighting, and everyone had tuned in to see this fight. A UFC fight night felt like a huge UFC pay-per-view, and that is really thanks to the charisma and personality and energy of Conor McGregor. Now, he's getting the chance to do this on a bigger stage against Jose Aldo, and this is probably going to be the fight that Aldo gets the most remembered for. This is basically the featherweight equivalent of Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva, and we know Anderson got paid very good for that fight, and I think that Aldo, with all those things considered, and because he's a man of, a lot of pride, doesn't want to let people down, if he doesn't have to, he will not pull out of the fight. He will take it, and he's going to get paid royally for that, royally for that fight, because of all these things considered. Now, I think that, just watching the door for a second there, I think that with this into account, McGregor's chances of winning the fight have increased, because with that injury that Jose has, if he takes the fight, working with a rib injury is very difficult. We all know. I've had a rib injury, and it wasn't a fractured one, but I've had a rib injury, and it was difficult enough during hay fever season when you're sneezing and it's uncomfortable. Now, you're fighting at the highest level of competition in a combat sport against a guy that is known for throwing strikes to the body. I think that McGregor is a shark. He's going to smell blood in the water, and he is going to exploit that injury as best he can. He's going to throw shots to the body. He's going to attack that body, put pressure on him, and I think that's how McGregor wins the fight. Exploit the fact that Aldo doesn't have the best weight cuts. Exploit the fact that Aldo kind of fades out from the third round onwards. Exploit all of that and that rib injury, and I could see McGregor winning it. I could see McGregor utilising a lot of what Nick Diaz does to people, attacking the body, volume punching, making them have to cut a pace they can't necessarily cut, and I think that that's how McGregor wins the fight. For Aldo, if he's got this injury, and it's true, then I think Aldo's just going to have to take him out early, just out, viciously take him out. If Aldo wasn't injured, I could see Aldo throwing lots of kicks to the leg, lots of kicks to the body, slowing him down, outpointing him, outclassing him, and I expect a finish. I think Aldo's got a great chance of finishing McGregor personally. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, well, McGregor hasn't fought a wrestler, we don't really know what he's like. And obviously, you could argue back to when has Aldo fought a pure striker in the last couple of fights? Not in a long, long time. I do think, though, that if McGregor and Mendes happens, that's a credibility boost for him, because now the argument of him not fighting a well-rounded guy before Aldo goes out the window, because if he beats Mendes, a guy that's very, 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 very good, that's a big credibility boost, and it probably makes the fight even bigger if it doesn't happen now. I'm going to say this also. I think that if Aldo and McGregor happens, and McGregor beats him, the rematch between Aldo and McGregor could be an even bigger fight than this one, because now you have the storyline, the promotional storyline of, well, Aldo had this injury and you could kind of portray him as quite sympathetic and he had to take the fight. Now in the rematch you can say that this is 100% Jose Aldo, what's going to happen, and you know that McGregor is going to sell and talk the hell out of this fight. Again, another wrestling analogy, and I know you lot hate this, it's going to be superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund rematch almost in the 80s. But that's how I feel about it, and that's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to get out. I'm going to stop right here. I want to know what people think. Is this the biggest fight in featherweight history? Of course it is. Is this the biggest fight of 2015? That's what I want to ask you. Is Aldo going to take the fight? Update me, because I'm not always around the computer or the phone to know what's going to happen. So please let me know if you hear anything more or any new information. Comment down below. Please comment down below. How do you think the fight's going to go down, if it goes down? And what do you think in general? I am out of here. Hit that like button. Hit that not my nose. Hit that subscribe button. And guys, peace. Take care. I am out of here.